In this video, we're going to talk about the unspoken intimacy challenge, navigating a hyposexual ASD marriage. Now let's talk about a kind of loneliness that almost never gets named. You can be married, you can love your partner, you can sleep in the same bed and still feel touch-starved, unwanted, and quietly heartbroken. Now, if you're the neurotypical partner in a marriage where your autistic spouse is hyposexual, meaning they have a very low or non-existent sex drive, then this video is for you. Not because you're too needy, not because you're obsessed with sex, and not because you're failing to be understanding enough, but because intimacy is a legitimate human need, and when it disappears without language or reassurance, it does real emotional damage. And if you're the autistic partner listening, this isn't about blaming you either. It's about helping both of you stop hurting in silence. Now let's talk about what hyposexuality looks like in the ASD marriage. In many ASD1 marriages, hyposexuality isn't about rejection. It's about sensory overload, low interoceptive awareness, stress shutting down desire, touch feeling neutral or even draining, and sex not registering as emotionally regulating. But here's the painful mismatch. For the neurotypical partner, touch equals connection. Sex equals reassurance. Desire equals safety in the bond. So when sex stops or was never really present, the NT spouse often internalizes it as, I must be unattractive, I must be asking too much, if I bring this up again, I'll be shaming him. And over time, something very dangerous happens. The NT spouse stops asking, stops reaching, stops trusting her own needs. That's not growth, that's self-abandonment. Now let's look at the core problem. Touch plus emotional expectation gets entangled. The biggest intimacy trap in the hyposexual ASD marriage is this. Touch becomes loaded. For the autistic partner, touch feels like a request or a test or a slippery slope towards sex they don't want or can't access. And for the NT spouse, touch feels like hope. Hope feels risky, and rejection feels devastating. So both partners start avoiding touch for opposite reasons, and eventually, no sex, no cuddling, no casual affection, no safe way to connect physically. And this is where resentment quietly grows, not because either partner is wrong, but because no one decoupled touch from expectation. Now let's talk about reframing intimacy. Connection without pressure. Here's a reframe that often changes everything. Intimacy is not sex, and touch does not have to lead anywhere. In hyposexual dynamics, intimacy has to be rebuilt sideways, not head-on. That can look like sitting close without touching, touch with a time limit, touch with explicit rules, shared rituals that don't involve bodies at all. For the autistic spouse, safety increases when the rules are clear, the end point is known, and consent is ongoing and revocable. For the NT spouse, healing begins when touch doesn't carry the weight of validation, connection doesn't depend on being desired sexually, and their needs are acknowledged even if not met in traditional ways. Now, this doesn't mean giving up hope. It means stopping the silent power struggle where both partners feel trapped. Now let's talk about low-pressure communication scripts for both partners. Let's get very concrete. For the neurotypical partner, instead of, we never have sex anymore, don't you want me? Try, I want to talk about intimacy in a way that doesn't pressure you. I'm not asking for sex right now. I'm asking for understanding and some form of connection we can both feel safe in. Or you can say, when we don't touch at all, I start to feel emotionally distant and lonely. I'm not blaming you. I want us to figure out what is possible together. Or you can say, I need reassurance that your lack of sexual desire isn't about me being unwanted. Hearing that directly would help me regulate. So these scripts name the need without demanding a solution. Now, for the autistic partner, instead of silence or shutdown, try this. I don't experience sexual desire the way you do, but that doesn't mean I don't care about you or value our bond. Or you can say, touch can be hard for me because it often feels like an expectation. I'd be more open to it if we had clear boundaries and no pressure. Or you could say, I want to find ways to connect that work for my nervous system too. I'm willing to experiment slowly. Now notice what's happening here. No defensiveness, no promises you can't keep, no minimizing your NT spouse's pain, just clarity and honesty. That alone reduces a huge amount of suffering. Now let's talk about what enough might look like in a hyposexual marriage. This is the question no one wants to ask, but everyone is thinking, what if this is as good as it gets? That's not a failure question. That's a discernment question. Every couple has to define what intimacy means here, what needs are negotiable, and what needs are not. Some couples build rich, connected marriages without sex. Others discover that grief must be honored before acceptance is possible. And some face hard decisions, not because anyone is wrong, but because realities don't align. The danger isn't choosing one path or another. The danger is staying silent and slowly disappearing inside yourself. Now, if you are the neurotypical spouse watching this, your longing makes sense, your grief is valid, you're not broken for wanting closeness. And if you're the autistic partner, you're not defective, you're not cruel for having limits, and your nervous system deserves safety too. This isn't about forcing desire, it's about building honesty, consent, and connection without shame. Now, if this video put language to something you've been living with quietly, let me know in the comments. And if you want more content on low intimacy ASD marriages, practical, grounding, and compassionate, subscribe and stay here. You don't have to navigate this alone. Also, please comment. I read and respond to all comments. I'll see you in the next video. Would you like to schedule a paid private coaching session? This will be in the form of a face-to-face Zoom call. Underneath any of my videos, you'll see this Calendly link. If you click on that link, it'll open up my calendar. You can pick the available days and times that works for your schedule. You'll get a follow-up email immediately after purchasing a session that will have the Zoom link that coincides with the day and time that you picked. I will get an email too that you scheduled a session, and I will be available on that exact day and time, and we will talk. I look forward to working with you.